Hello everyone, Sen here. Today we're going to be following up with our series on how to make a top-down game in SDL3. And so we left the tutorials on trying to move our player. It was supposed to be last episode, but last episode got quite complicated, so let's do it now. The first thing we need to understand is how movement works in a game like this. So let's compile our project so we can better see it. So we have our player here in the 250 to 50 coordinates, so 250 pixels from here in the x-axis and 250 pixels in the y-axis. And so this where the player is drawn is defined here in the SDL render texture and then in the destination rect, a pointer to the destination rectangle. So instead of having the rectangle over here saying 250 to 50, we need to be able to change these two values to whatever value we want to, and we would do that with our keys. Basically, when pressing a key, we would make the value go up or go down. And so to do that, we would create, first of all, we could create a type definition struct, call that struct position. And here we could have two values, a float x and a float y, being the position of the player. And these two values would go here inside of the player position variable. But as you will see here, it's going to error out when we try. Okay, we haven't defined a function. Oh, sorry, a variable called position. So we can say position equals 0, 0. So if we say here position x and position y, it's going to error out. And if we read expression must have a constant value. So basically, what we need to do is define this rectangle inside of the render function. So it gets created every time we are rendering. So let's paste it here. So now every time we call the render function, a variable called player position is going to get created, and this variable is the one that's going to be used here in the render texture. So let's clean this a little bit. So now if we call we compile our code, we'll see that the player is on the left, in the top left corner, which is basically 0, 0. And now that we have this, we just have to be able to change position X and position Y, and we will have our player moving. So how do we do that? We have to come into our update function, and we are going to use the following function that SDL provides, SDL get keyboard state. So what this function does is gets a snapshot of the current state of the keyboard. So basically, we pass a num key to the function, and it tells us if that key is pressed right now or if it's not. And we can make this a little bit clearer by just saying const boolean enter keyboard state equals this. And let me show you how this works with an example right here. So perfect. So now if keyboard state, and doing this, we're just passing the value inside of the brackets into the function, because this is basically a pointer to another function. If the keyboard state of the SDL scan code W, which is basically an enum, this is an enum, SDL scan code. if the key W is pressed, because this returns true, we want to move the position of our player to -1, like move it 1. So if we compile this and we hit W, our player disappears from the view. That's because it went off screen. So let's do the same for the other positions. So position 1, it's just the same thing with the other letters. So now when we hit S, it goes down. When we hit D, it goes right. A, left. We are just moving. We can move diagonally too. But as you can see, the player is moving too fast. That's because we don't have something called delta time. Right now, our game is running as fast as it can. And that means that this update function runs as many times as it can in your hardware. So we need to implement something called delta time. I'm not going to be doing it this episode, but for now I think we have good progress. I think this is something that you're gonna be happy to have, because we haven't had that much progress until now. But finally being able to move a character, I think, is something to be proud of. So on the next episode, we're gonna be implementing delta time, so our player doesn't move like 200 times per second. It just goes off screen in a second and a half. So yeah, I'll see you on next episode where we will be implementing delta time.